What's up, folks? I'm Jesse Wilkins from Hometown Ghost Stories. It is now November, and that means it's time for another paranormal update. Today, we have 3 stories about ghosts. Ghosts, and ghosts haunting a Hooters. So without further ado, let's hop into this month's paranormal update. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another paranormal update. I'm Jesse Wilkins. I am joined by Rob Coakley. Hello, Rob.
We don't talk about ghosts enough on Hometown Ghost Stories, so I'm glad we're doing 3 different ghost tales on this episode.
First time ever talking about ghosts. We're also joined by Dave. Hello, Dave.
Hello. I felt like I had to sort of redeem myself after I told a cat story in the last episode.
It was a great story.
It was a fan favorite. Everyone just loved the traveling cat story.
True.
It was amazing. But without further ado, we're going to hop into some ghostly tales today. We're going to kick this one off in the great state of New Hampshire. So this one is titled Spooky Sighting, Is This New Hampshire Restaurant Haunted? And this is coming from NBC Boston. So a spooky sighting earlier this week has the owners of a New Hampshire restaurant wondering if their establishment might be haunted. The Library Restaurant. That sounds really exciting. The Library Restaurant in downtown Portsmouth posted a video to its Facebook page early Tuesday morning that appeared to show a ghostly image passing by their security camera. Quote, "Our building, the Rockingham, is well known for its ghosts, and notably the ones in the library basement. Last night, for the very first time..."
I'm so fucking confused on what this place is. Is it a library? Is it the Rockingham House? Is it a restaurant? What are we doing here?
I think it's a restaurant.
It's a restaurant, but you gotta book in advance.
Whoa. No. That had layers to it. That had chapters to it, if you will.
Oh my God.
Oh, nice.
Wow. Well, yeah, so I'm assuming, and I don't know anything about this building other than the confusing opening paragraph that we just read. I'm assuming that it was a former library that they turned into a restaurant, and it's also called the Rockingham. So seems like a historic building. But anyways, last night, for the very first time, our motion detector alarms inside the building were set off by this camera motion caught on video in the dead of night outside the window. The restaurant wrote, quote, "It is not lights from a car because you can see how others are picked up and there is no horizontal wind blowing. So what can this be? Make of it what you will, but this has never happened before. Spooky coincidence for this time of year?" So between and I'll play the video for you guys in a second, but between the 16 and 17 second mark of the 1 minute and 41 second video, you can see what appears to be a white mist or a cloud passing by the cameras, just above the restaurant's iconic golden lion statues outside the main entrance. About a minute later, the video shows police arriving to check out the restaurant's alarms, which had been activated. So this was enough to trip the alarms. In the restaurant's basement, there are tunnels, including one that is said to stretch all the way to the ocean.
Why?
Longest source of uneasy energy.
What is this building? They're like, it has golden lions on the top of it.
There are a lot of mysteries to this story. Quote, "I have myself seen things fall off of shelves. Everyone has seen that. You can always try and rationalize that type of thing," said Adrian Waterman, who co-owns the restaurant. The video has already prompted 59 comments as of Tuesday. I'm sorry. As of Thursday morning, with some people sharing their own ghost stories. Quote, "So cool," commented Caroline Spring Chase. Another one, quote, "You could see a poltergeist going by the camera. Very cool," said Chris Kozlowski. I grew up with a guy named Chris Kozlowski. I wonder if Chris is weighing in on that. We'll have to ask him. Quote, "I have been to the library many times." This must be a smart person. "And I can assure you there is a female ghost in the bathroom area in the lower level, offered Elaine Cerami. But the spooky specters are not the kind of thing that executive chef Mark Lapomo wants cooking in his kitchen. He's not fucking around."
He doesn't want this cook. He doesn't want no ghost cooking.
He told NBC 10 Boston, quote, I am not a pretty superstitious. What?
I am not pretty.
Hang on. I am not a pretty superstitious or ghost person.
That was a well-constructed sentence.
Nice job, executive
He's
chef
not
Mark
pretty,
Lopoma.
superstitious, or ghost person. That's
I am not a pretty superstitious or ghost person. So yeah, he's not saying. I'm confused by that statement. We're not done. Quote, that's definitely a ghost, and I've seen plenty of them, added Kelly Shea. I used to live across the street. The women's restroom at the library is haunted. So that is multiple people saying that the women's restroom at this place is haunted. Quote, it's real. I saw and felt things that living there. No. Sorry. She's not.
like the ugly chef.
I'm
the
sorry.
Ugly chef felt me.
Nate did not word that as poorly as I read it. He said, it's real. I saw and felt things like that living there.
Okay.
Did he used to live here too?
Why
What is this building? What is this building? We must know. So this one, which was my first reaction, I'll show you guys the video in a second, said, quote, someone smoking a cigarette next to the door, LOL. That was from a fellow who offered a less spiritual solution. We'll let you guys draw your own conclusions. Roxy Zwicker of New England Curiosities came over to investigate. She's written a bunch of books and interviewed 30 to 40 people over the years with their own experiences at the location. She says, with many stories, these people must be on to something. Quote, once you start adding this up, listen, is everyone having a good spirit at the bar, or are they experiencing a good spirit in the building?
Oh.
Nicely done. Well done. But it seems like this is a well-known haunted building. And there seems to be that like everyone's got their own stories, and you have people that are trying to debunk it as well. So according to its website, the library restaurant has been in operation since 1975 and is located in the old Rockingham House. All right, we're starting to get some answers. Maybe we should have led with this paragraph, but NBC Boston, you do your thing. So according to its website, the library roster
They just wrote the article backwards.
That's pretty much what's going on here. So it's been in operation since 1975 and is located in the old Rockingham House, which was built in 1785 as a residence for George Woodbury Langdon and transformed into a hotel in 1833. The building burned in a fire in 1884 and was rebuilt by then owner Frank Jones, a former mayor of Portsmouth and U.S. congressman. So it does have some history. It used to be, I didn't see anything that said it used to be a library.
Yeah.
Right? So it was the old Rockingham House.
So
it was
they just
a
wanted
house.
to name it the library restaurant, apparently.
Yeah, it was a house transformed into a hotel, burnt down, rebuilt. I'd be surprised if it didn't at some point function as a library, but you never know. So without further ado, shall we play this video for you folks?
Let's.
Okay, so ignore the wonderful advertisements for mushrooms that we have here. This is what folks are missing out on the audio podcast. You get to see advertisements for mushrooms. But anyway, so let's check out this video here. So again, it'll be around the 16-second mark. So out here you have the lions outside this mysterious building. It does say library restaurant. You see the sign there, and it should be coming up soon. It is running. And this is what tripped the alarm.
Oh,
Boom.
there it is.
There it is. So it very much looked like a puff of smoke, which is what that one commenter said. You still see it trailing by actually a few seconds later in the video.
What's weird about it, though, is it looks like it's coming from the bushes.
Oh, there's more. Yeah. But so this was
no one's smoking cigarettes in the bushes. Maybe.
You never know with this mysterious building. Right.
Maybe
so
if there's a balcony or something.
Yeah. You saw some fog go by. It's an October night. I feel like it's too high up to be cigarette smoke. And then later on in the video, you do see the police come by, but it's definitely not something caused by the light from a car, like they said. And it was enough to trip the alarm. They said this isn't something that happens all the time. So it's also the police response time to this, unbelievable.
Yeah, of course. It's Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
This is an important detail, though, is that it's not something that happens all the time. And if that was an area where it was common for somebody to stand there smoking, that would happen all the time.
Yeah. Okay, what was even more mysterious was the police just appearing on the steps there. I'm guessing they clipped the video. I don't know.
Of course, the video.
So I pulled up a picture of the front of the building, and that is like a patio area.
Okay.
Underneath there that people could be standing on. So it is a possibility.
But it would trip it all the time then, right?
Well, if people were there all the time.
If they were smoking all the time.
But this is after hours, which is why the alarm was set.
Oh, so, okay.
A pretty interesting video. To me, again, my first reaction was that looks like cigarette smoke. But if it's something that doesn't happen all the time, and I don't see any people on this video, so I would like to see a different angle. I'm not fully convinced that it's something paranormal, but it was enough to make the news. It was enough to trip the alarm, enough for the police to show up. And they say that that's not the only haunting at this building. So I think we will definitely be looking into more ghost stories from this building. And maybe we save that maybe you'll see it on a future episode. I think that's actually a pretty cool story.
Maybe we'll go. Those lions are awesome looking.
That's not that far. Yeah.
We'll just figure out. We'll figure out if it was ever a library.
We're going to get to the bottom of this for you folks. We're going to get to the bottom of it.
Dave, do you want to hit us with your haunted story?
Sure. This comes to us from Chicago, Illinois, and this was October 2024, so last month. And the title is, or the headline is, Chicago Hauntings, More Than Just Wings and Tight Outfits at the Haunted Chicago Hooters. So I'm going to start this article.
Oh, wings, like chicken wings. I was thinking like, wow, like that's wings.
Yeah.
I forgot this was Hooters. Okay.
Hooters. Yeah. Hooters. Could have been owl wings.
Guys, I don't even have to hear this story. We need to go investigate the
Hooters.
Preferably during Sunday, maybe while football's on.
Well, while everyone's working is what we will say.
That's right. That's right. So I'm going to actually skip the opening 2 paragraphs of this because it's just giving us the history of Hooters, which
as a franchise.
Yeah, like it was founded in Florida, blah, 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 whatever. Not pertinent to the ghost story. So on its website, Hooters notes that the Well Street location is and always has been the only one in the downtown area, which has made it a long-standing hit with tourists and locals alike. But it's known for something else too: ghosts. According to Tony Shabelsky of Chicago Haunting Tours.
Such a Chicago name.
Hey, Tony Shabelsky.
Shabelsky.
Paranormal activity has been reported in the Hooters building for about 2 decades.
Tony Shabelsky is just still operating, like selling booze from behind the bar that is bootleg. They're like, dude, it's a bar. It's okay. It's legal now. And he's like, no, this is the Shabelsky way.
Rolling barrels down the street.
Whenever someone orders a beer, he opens it up with an axe. The big barrel just bangs a hole in it, and then carry on.
So paranormal activity has been reported in the Hooters building for about 2 decades and has been written about in several different books. But for many years, the reasons for a Hooters, of all places, being haunted was a mystery. Experts think they have since figured it out. About 1.5 miles north, the southern end of Lincoln Park, near the Chicago History Museum and the Lincoln Park Zoo, was the Chicago City Cemetery back in the 1840s and 1850s. The Couch Mausoleum, the one remaining reminder of the park's days as a cemetery, has its own hauntings associated with it. During that era, grave robbing was huge. So-called resurrectionists would dig up freshly buried corpses and sell them to medical colleges, Jabelsky explained. The medical colleges needed the cadavers for training med students, and no one was donating their body to science back then. Instead, resurrectionists would show up to the back door of the medical college and hand off the fresh bodies, no questions asked. Does this sound made up? It's not. Even Smithsonian Magazine has covered the resurrectionists and the shady practices of the 19th century medical colleges in a 2018 article writer Antonio Petila wrote, specifically about grave robbers in Baltimore. As Adam Seltzer wrote in The Mysterious Chicago, the Chicago Tribune reported its 1875 that resurrections suddenly found themselves out of luck, handing off resurrections. Finally, what the hell does that mean?
I think they're referring to the bodies as resurrections.
Okay. Because that's not what that word means.
No, I've never heard it used that way. So let's forget about Andrew Seltzer. Let's check with what Andrew Soda Pop and see what he has to say.
Oh, Jesus.
That was rough. So it says they reported in 1875 that resurrections suddenly found themselves out of luck, handing off freshly exhumed bodies to medical colleges in Chicago. Under new laws, Seltzer wrote, medical colleges had been granted the first right to bodies headed to the Potter's Field, which Seltzer identifies as having been in Jefferson Park. He is likely referring to the Cook County Cemetery at Dunning. But the resurrectionists went on. I wonder if that's the word they were trying to use earlier. The resurrectionists.
I still don't even know what they're referring to, but this is a very interesting story, actually.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of the Edinburgh Vaults
I was going to say that. Yeah. The resurrectionists went on plying their gruesome trade as there was still a market for stolen cadavers at medical colleges in Michigan, Indiana, Wisconsin, and other nearby states. Seltzer wrote that Ann Arbor, Michigan, and Iowa City were particularly major markets for cadavers from Chicago. The site, this sounds like it was a whole thing, like the whole like underground cadaver dealing.
Well,
So
it
she
was
like,
I mean, you're talking about Chicago. I mean, one of the most famous ones that ever did this was H.H. Holmes.
That's right.
He would steal bodies for medical colleges and for stuff like that. So
Yeah, that was before he went on to be Jack the Ripper.
That's right. That's right. The site of the present-day Hooters building comes into play as a stop between the cemeteries and the out-of-state destinations. Quote, to preserve those bodies, they brought them to a building that was here before the Hooters' existence. Imagine if they were just bringing them to the Hooters. They're stiff. Well, now they are. And they would put them somewhere in this basement, somewhere in the alley behind the building, in pickle barrels, and the pickle barrels were labeled poultry. This is a crazy story. The pickle barrels were labeled poultry until they could distribute them to the medical colleges. Jabelski said,
I'd be pissed if I got my poultry and it was pickles.
Yeah.
I'd be even more pissed if I got my poultry and it was dead bodies.
You order wings and you just get full legs, full human legs.
We call them drumsticks. There are some specific news stories related to this. Seltzer wrote that in February 1875, the Tribune reported body snatchers were digging up graves, opening coffins, and dragging out the corpses with hooks, and then routing the bodies through an alley behind the Charnell House.
All right, hang on.
They're doing this. My sentence, so I don't have to.
Sorry, go ahead.
At 167 North Wells Street, which before the street numbering system changed in 1909 would have been Wells near Erie Street.
Okay, so they're doing this to sell these bodies to the medical school, and they get more bang for their buck if these bodies are well preserved. And they're just throwing hooks into the body and dragging them through the alleyway. I asked for this body to not be absolutely massacred before you brought it to us. Please put it back in the pickle barrel and get me a new one. Wow. There's a lot going on in this story, dude. But you can understand why it would lead to a haunting. Is there more to the story?
Stories of hauntings in the general area go back to at least the 1950s. Seltzer wrote that a Tribune article in the area about old and forgotten haunted houses identified a house on Erie Street that was used by a medical college that bought bodies from the resurrectionists. The article, he wrote, said the neighbors would hear mysterious hoofbeats and the sound of body snatchers hauling caskets off their wagons. In the comparatively recent years since Hooters has been in the building, Jabelski says employees have reported shadow figures, especially in the basement. A manager also told Jabelski about experiences she had going up and down the stairs between the basement and the main floor, with there being a sense that someone was either coming up or going down the stairs right behind her.
Don't like that.
Nope.
This is definitely a location that I would be interested in going to.
This is absolutely. We have the list. This is actually occupying 5 spots at the top of the list.
People have been wanting us to go to Chicago, and I feel like we need to go do a 72-hour investigation with the staff.
With this, got to have the staff.
Got to have the staff. They know the hauntings, and we investigate this haunted fine establishment.
Yes.
How fast do they kick us out and cancel the whole investigation when we show up wearing the Hooters outfits?
These are our trigger objects.
It's us. Is there more?
No.
No, that's it. All right.
Yeah.
This should be a very haunted location. It sounds like this I was not anticipating that backstory. That is the absolutely crazy story. I don't know how we missed this. We've done Chicago twice now, haven't we?
Well, this article's from last month.
Okay.
Oh, but yeah,
but the history of that area is obviously goes way back.
True.
Longer than last month. So that is wow, what a wild play. Yeah, we're gonna have to really look into it. I'm actually gonna go ahead and sift through pictures of Hooters for investigation purposes.
Of all of the Hooters, just for reference of what this one
we have to compare and contrast.
Compared to the other ones, we have to know the business. We have to really get inside the head of Hooters in order to do this.
That's good. What a wild story, though.
Mhm.
All right, I want to do something a little different for my story.
Okay.
We're going to do this quick. We're going to rapid fire through this, and you guys are going to say yes or no. I found an article from Forbes of all places,
No.
which is what it just took me aback that they published this, but it's not the first time I've seen this, but they published an article claiming to have listed the most haunted house in every state.
Okay.
So some of them maybe we don't know, maybe we haven't covered. Some of them maybe we do think they are the most haunted house in the state or not. So I'm going to go through this list that Forbes published, and if we've talked about it, we can say yes or no, and if we haven't, we can sort of put it in our mental state. If we haven't talked about it, I'll read the little blurb about it. So the first one is Alabama, and they chose the Sweetwater Mansion in Florence, which we have not covered.
We have not.
So in the heart of Florence lies the Sweetwater Mansion. Its ghost story surrounds a long dead Confederate soldier, the former son-in-law of the estate. Phantom sightings are said to be everywhere. A woman in dated garb wandering the halls and the distant echoes of children's innocent giggles. So a nice little sentence. Sounds like a place that we should definitely cover in the future here.
Is there a Hooters?
I'm sure there is.
I'll put it second on the list.
I guess I could give that a yes. I have heard of that location before. So again, we don't like saying most haunted of anything. I mean, like any location that attracts visitors is going to get more evidence of paranormal activity, but you don't know if there's just an abandoned building somewhere out there that has the most levels of paranormal activity. So
But we're gonna play the game anyways.
it's hard to gauge this kind of stuff, but we'll start with yes. Wait, do they have another one?
No, they do one per state. So we're just going to go per state and name it and say yes or no.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's compare this one to a local Hooters in the state and decide which one is more haunted. Hooters.
Okay, we have 49 more to get through. So let's start banging through.
Right.
The Beejich Towers in Whittier in Alaska are crowded with mysteries. It said that hauntings whistle pervade its hallways and ghostly footsteps resound on the stairwells. So it is a big old hotel. And what I will do is I will share my screen so that everyone can see a picture of it. So again, only say yes or no on the ones that we have covered. Arizona, this one we've actually have been getting emails about for us to cover. It's the Rawson House. It looks really cool, so we should be covering that in the future. Arkansas is Bentonville's Peel Mansion, which I do not believe we've covered yet, right?
No, we've only done Arkansas once, and that was a hotel.
All right, so we can keep this one in our back pocket. California, they chose the Whaley.
Give me the Whaley House.
Which
in
is
the whole state, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You're up against the Winchester.
Yeah.
This is one of those ones I would go Whaley over Winchester in terms of hauntings, in terms of absolute wild history. Then Winchester has a really cool story, but the Whaley House hauntings there, I mean, they claim, like many other places do, to be the most haunted house in America, and many people vouch for that.
So these are just houses, right? So you're not going to count Alcatraz, right?
Correct. These are just houses.
Sure. I'll give it the Whaley House. I'll give it a yes.
Colorado is the Molly Brown House in Denver.
Yeah, you could. That's a good one. But the when we covered this episode, the name of the house escapes me, but there was a much bigger haunted location. I'm going to say no to the Molly Brown House.
Okay. I will say yes, because it was a pretty good one for now. All right. The next one is Connecticut. And it is amidst Connecticut's Thames River, the New London Ledge Light stands solitary. Automated now, former guards recount spectral disturbances, unexplained noises, self-activating electronics, and mysteriously displaced blankets. So this is like an old lighthouse, like legitimate house that just floats in the water. It's kind of cool.
Lighthouses. I mean, we've covered a few places in Connecticut, so I can't give it a yes or a no because I don't know much about this place, but it seems cool.
Right. Delaware is the Woodburn Mansion, which we have not covered yet, but I've circled this one a few times, so you might hear that one in a future episode. Florida, they went with the Riddle House, which is another one that we do need to cover. But man, Florida has so much. I don't know if that could be considered the most haunted.
I don't know. You got St. Augustine. I'm going to go no on that one.
Georgia, they have Rhodes Hall. And the fact that they didn't pick something in Savannah blew my mind for Georgia. And there's some other stuff we covered in Georgia. We haven't covered it yet, so I'm not going to say no, but it's going to have a hard time beating some of the stories that we've covered in terms of hauntings. Hawaii, they have the Lolani Palace, which is the former residence of the Hawaiian monarchy. Visitors have reported seeing apparitions of the royal couple, as well as hearing footsteps and smelling the scent of burning cigars. That's one that we can back pocket.
Back to Colorado, it was the Croak Patterson Mansion,
Oh,
which,
yes.
I would give to over the Molly Brown house based on our episode.
Idaho, so this is where they lose me because they said that they were doing haunted houses, and now they're doing the old Idaho penitentiary.
There's not a lot going on in Idaho.
We say
Gets
that.
a yes from me.
Yeah, I guess it is a residence. People that live there.
It's a big house.
Illinois, they have the McPike Mansion.
Nope. We have Hooters. Move on.
Indiana is the James.
By the way, go listen to our episode on the McPike Mansion. We did cover that, didn't we?
We did one of our early episodes. The James Allison Mansion. Which...
I'm going to go no, and I'm going to give it to the Whispers Estate.
I'd have to look into this one, though.
No.
The Whispers is a good one. There's another good one in Indiana that I want to cover too. So
yeah, Whispers is wild.
Iowa, they went with the Villisca House.
Obviously.
I'll take it.
Kansas is the Sally House, which
obviously,
of course, right?
Yeah.
Kentucky, the Liberty Hall on Wilkinson Street.
Oh.
So this is a pretty cool looking house. I actually think we should back pocket that and cover that at some point. Louisiana, they went with the Myrtles Plantation.
Yep, that's up there.
Maine, they went with the Captain Lord Mansion.
Okay. I don't know it.
We have not covered yet. It's in Kennebunkport, which I do want to cover. I think I'd like to go up there and get some footage at some point.
Yeah, it'd be a fun trip.
Maryland is the Hager House, which we have not covered yet. So we have so many things to do. Number 21.
This is actually great because every once in a while you get that irrational thought like, man, are we running out of locations? We're not. Apparently we barely scratched the surface.
Yeah. Mass is going with the Lizzie Borden house. We're not going to say yes or no yet because we have not covered it or investigated. Michigan, the Kalamazoo's Henderson Castle, which looks awesome. We also haven't covered.
Awesome, fun name.
Yeah,
don't care about the hauntings. I'm giving it a hard yes.
Minnesota, they went with the St. Paul Forepaugh house. Joseph Forepaugh, the owner, engaged in an illicit affair with a housemaid, and both are said to have met a tragic end. Patrons often recount encountering the couple, especially the housemaid, who showcases her displeasure with loud bangs and shattered glass. Which, how do we make that happen if we were to investigate there? I'm not shattering glass there, and I really don't want to do loud bangs. That sucks. The McRaven House in Vicksburg, which I did not cover in the Vicksburg episode.
That's right.
Yeah, I recall.
Because I left some meat on the bone. It's called giving the listeners something to look forward to.
It gets a yes for me because I did heavily research that one because I thought we were going to cover it.
Number 25 is Missouri with the LMP Mansion, and I will say yes to this one.
Hard yes.
Montana is the Copper King Mansion, which sounds pretty cool. Nebraska is the Brownsville Captain Bailey House. It's a place where doors refuse to stay shut, thanks to the captain and his wife. Ghost.
I have one of those behind me.
A wife?
Well, yes, but no, the door that
captain?
refuses to stay shut.
Oh.
So there also has occasional phantom piano melodies and sightings of the couple's apparitions.
Hell yeah.
Nevada is the Carson City's governor's mansion. A seemingly innocent gift, a clock, is said to unleash spectral residents.
Ooh, fun.
So that sounds like a cool one to cover.
Yeah.
New Hampshire is the Oceanborn Mary House, which I have read about a few times, but just haven't covered it yet. So,
Nope, it's going to be the library restaurant.
New Jersey is the Spy House.
Ooh, mysterious.
A one-time tavern for British troops, resonates with tales of intrigue and espionage, but it's the hauntings that truly capture the imaginations. Reports of mysterious weeping, the apparition of a lady in white, and a sea captain. So that sounds like a cool one to cover.
Yep.
And we have not covered most of these houses so far. So
Yeah, it was great.
It's actually a good sign.
yes. New Mexico is the Los Lunas Luna Mansion.
I researched that one with the intent to cover it,
Yeah.
but I ended up swinging over to Albuquerque instead.
Gotcha. So you might see that one in the future. Number 32, I don't agree with this at all. They go with the Amityville House.
It's the biggest story
It is the biggest
by far.
It's the
And
biggest.
just because it's not open to ghost investigations doesn't mean that it's not the most haunted. I mean, if the story is that the house isn't haunted anymore, then it definitionally is not the most haunted. But who knows? Who's to say?
I'm still partial to the Hinsdale House, and that is extreme bias before I'm going and investigating there.
Mm.
It is, and we'll likely never really know the truth on the Amityville House unless it gets a new owner who is willing to open it up. So
Yeah.
Hinsdale it is for now.
The Cape Hatteras Lighthouse in North Carolina.
Yes, just any lighthouse give it to me.
It's a cool looking one too.
It's got a barber pole look.
Yeah, so I would like to do that. North Dakota is the Mandan's Fort Abraham Lincoln Custer House. It's said to be haunted by a lieutenant, by Colonel Custer and Mrs. Custer, who lived in the home for a mere 2 years. Now a museum, their spirits are said to imbue the place with mysterious cold spots, unexplained voices, and peculiar light activities. So that sounds like a cool one to cover. Ohio is the Punderson Mansion in Newberry.
This place looks awesome.
Does look pretty awesome. Said to be haunted by the ghost of its former owner and guest.
But it's going to be, I mean, I don't know. I'll have to look into it, but it's got to be a no with all the crazy hauntings in Ohio.
Yeah, there's a lot.
But maybe. I mean, it's hard to do this list without doing our due diligence of looking into it. But
I thought we were going to have, honestly, I thought when I didn't want to like spoil the list for myself, and I was like, there's no way we didn't cover most of these, and we have not covered most of these. Oklahoma is the Belvedere Mansion in Claremore. Oregon is the Heceta Head Lighthouse Keeper's Home. It saw many keepers and their kin. By the mid-1990s, students claimed contact with a spirit named Rue, believed to be a lighthouse keeper's wife. Her playful antics include door manipulations and echoing footfalls. Pennsylvania is the Baker Mansion.
I thought you said echoing footballs.
I thought
Yes.
so too.
That's a weird haunting.
Yeah. So the Baker Mansion in Pennsylvania we haven't covered yet. Rhode Island is the Sprag Mansion in Cranston, where the original owner's daughter met a cruel fate in 1843, and her spirit is believed to be trapped in the mansion's wine cellar, searching for justice never served. 40, South Carolina is a Charleston Battery Carriage House Inn, which we have not covered. South Dakota is the Adams House in Deadwood. Tennessee is the Hermitage in Nashville. Texas is the Littlefield House.
Okay. Where in Texas is that?
Oh, we went there.
We went there. Yeah,
Oh, that's right. We
Yeah,
didn't cover it though.
We didn't cover
No,
it.
we didn't cover it, but we did visit.
Yeah,
That's
we
right.
have some footage of it. We did go to that house.
But it's
It's right on the University of Texas
Campus.
campus.
Yep. Utah is the McCune Mansion in Salt Lake City, which we have not covered.
We haven't covered Salt Lake City yet, to be fair.
This list has been humbling.
Yes, it has been humbling. Vermont is the Bowman House, which we have
Mhm.
not covered. Virginia is the Ferry Plantation House, another one we haven't covered. Washington, the Campbell House, not covered.
Yikes.
West Virginia, the Berkeley Castle in Berkeley Springs.
That looks awesome.
That looks phenomenal. That looks like something out of Europe.
Looks
Yeah.
amazing. Echoes the footsteps of Rosa, a once flamboyant hostess with an enigmatic history. Today's guests say that they discern mysterious sounds, ethereal footsteps, innocent laughter, and inexplicable crashes from the upper floors. Wisconsin is the Octagon House, which we have not covered.
We covered one. Oh, there's one in Washington, D.C. that we covered. Octagon House there.
It's whispered that a tragic accident claimed the life of one of the owner's daughters within these walls.
Mm,
Ooh.
And the last one is Wyoming, which is the Rollins Ferry Mansion, which
that's
we
cool looking too.
Also
yeah.
not covered.
I do feel like this list might have been a little bit biased to really cool looking Victorian homes.
Yes.
I know.
Because if you look at the
Lighthouse.
pictures, so for audio listeners, I know we just went through a long list of places where we're like, oh, don't know what that is. Don't know where that is. We will. We'll look into all of these and it will end up being on future episodes. But I do feel like that list was a little bit biased on aesthetics over actual hauntings inside of places, especially when it comes to Ohio and Wisconsin, a couple of those other ones there.
It's possible, but they peppered in like the Lizzie Borden house and the Velisca house and the
Sally House.
The Sally house, which is not exactly a marvel to look at.
Right,
So,
but obvious picks. But yeah, I'm glad there were a few of them there. So these lists are always subjective. Your haunting experiences might be more heightened than somebody else's at certain locations. You never know. So that's why these lists are kind of, very subjective at times.
well, after going through this list, if you like our show, at least you now know that we're not going anywhere for a long time. We have so many more locations to cover. And one in West Virginia, I want to go to the castle. That looks awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We just laid out every single episode for 2025, basically.
Look at that.
And probably 2026 too.
Yeah, there's so many things, but so that is the list.
Very interesting stuff. That is pretty much it for this episode of our paranormal update for November. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you on Tuesday for another live episode of Hometown Ghost Stories, where we'll probably cover someplace that's on that list. We'll talk to you next time. Bye. Oh, shit, here I am.